Entrepreneurs, listen up. If you're not sharpening your public speaking skills, you're leaving money, impact, and opportunities on the table. So in this video, I'm giving you 3 powerful reasons why using public speaking is the ultimate cheat code to grow your brand, your impact, and your business. You ready? Let's go. I dropped my business in 2014 when I launched my book, You Have the Keys, Now Drive. That's when I quit my corporate job. I was sick and tired of clocking in and clocking out and really just not making the impact that I wanted to make with the work that I was doing. So at that time, I launched my book and I decided that I was going to launch my coaching business, Champion You. I launched the book. I did 2 book launches. The book launches went really, really well. A lot of people came out, they bought the book. And so I was excited to launch my business. I thought, I'll just put it out there that I have a book. I'll put it out there that, I'm a coach that helps entrepreneurs, that helps people change their lives, and people will just roll in. I was very, very naive. I struggled to get clients. I was out there chasing people. I was posting probably 7 to 10 times a day on social media. I was DMing people. I was doing all the things that you're supposed to do, and I just wasn't really landing clients, especially for the amount of effort that I was putting in. It felt like I was putting in 12 or 14 hours a day in my business, and I would do that for weeks and weeks and weeks and maybe land a client, every couple of months. And that's not sustainable for a business, right? We need clients constantly. We need a funnel of warm leads coming into our ecosystem so that we can convert them to clients, whether it's for your high paying or low paying, low ticket items. So what I realized after struggling for so long is, what do all of the top entrepreneurs, what do all the gurus, what do all the industry leaders do that I'm not doing? And when I sat back and looked at it, it wasn't that I wasn't doing the right things. I was running ads. I was posting on social media. I was DMing people. But the problem was, people didn't really know me. They didn't trust me at that point. And so when I looked at all the leaders in the industry, I realized one thing. They all do public speaking. And in that moment, I made a decision that I was going to hone my public speaking skills so that I could start attracting ideal clients and not chase them. I want you to understand this. The number one skill that you can develop in your life, in your business, is public speaking, is learning how to speak one to many. So let me give you 3 powerful reasons why public speaking is the ultimate game changer in your business, with your mission, and anything that you want to do. Okay, point number 1, visibility is currency. Yes, that's right. Every time somebody hears you, every time they see you speak, you're building that trust factor and you're positioning yourself as a leader. So every time you stand on a stage or you get on a podcast or mainstream media, or sometimes even go live or do a workshop, you're positioning yourself as an expert. And the best way to build those deep connections with your audience is standing on a stage or a virtual stage, right? When you get up there and you're speaking for 30, 40, 60 minutes, it's a deep dive into who you are. You're telling stories, you're sharing your knowledge and your expertise. And now people are seeing who you are. And people buy from people. They don't buy from websites. They don't buy from social media. They buy from the person behind the brand. So when you stand up and you're delivering a speech and you're connecting with your audience, now they're looking at you like, yeah, maybe I should dive a little bit deeper into what you do. Yeah, maybe you are the person to help me solve my problem. Yeah, I do want to buy your product or your service. And I didn't know that. And I remember one of the first times that I was asked to speak and do a corporate talk. They wanted me to come in and speak a little bit about, I think at the time it was really about how to build high-performing teams. And I remember going in and delivering, I think it was a 25 or 30-minute speech. And afterwards, people came up to me and they're like, wow, that's amazing. Do you have a book? Do you have products? And at the time I said, no, I didn't have anything. So what I did was I handed out a piece of paper and I asked everybody to give me their email. And I said, look, I'm going to email you the highlights of this presentation. I just basically emailed them from my email at the time, and I didn't even really have an email list or anything like that. And I remember I would just send out information randomly about, high performing teams, about communication, team building. And what happened was the organization just kept bringing me back because all of their employees that I was emailing just kept talking about me. And so that trust factor was built. And I realized over time that when you learn how to speak with clarity, confidence, and conviction, and you have that powerful call to action, you can sell high ticket things right from the stage. Instead of sending people, 20 emails, instead of them seeing 20 or 30 social media posts, in that 30 minutes or that 20 minutes or that hour, you've built up so much trust that some people will buy your $2,000, $5,000, $20,000 program, all because they heard you speak on a stage. So for you, you have to understand that public speaking is currency. It's visibility. You're getting attention. But here's what's amazing about after you speak on a stage. Here's what's amazing. If you record that conversation, you record that speech, you can now repurpose it. So now you can take clips and highlights and you can post it on social media. You can post it on YouTube. You can get it transcribed and you can send out some of that information and the key points to people on your email list. Number 2, your story sells. Stories sell. Forget all the facts, forget all the stats. What makes that heart-to-heart connection, what builds that trust factor, what lets people know that you're the person to help them solve their problem, are stories. Your origin story. Why did you start your business? Stories of your clients that you've helped. Stories of struggles that you've had. And now you found the solution. Your journey. Those stories are very, very powerful because people want that connection. And the way to connect with people is through storytelling. Like since the beginning of time, there's a reason why you read books. There's a reason why you watch TV. There's a reason why you love movies. It's all because of the storytelling. And I find that as entrepreneurs, we're just not utilizing the power of our story enough. We're not telling people, why we started our business. We're not making that impact because we're afraid to tell our story or we're not telling our stories. So what I'll say to you is, think of your story. Why did you start your business? What was the struggle? What have you overcome that people are still struggling with? What's a big problem that you solve? And tell a story around that. I remember when I first started speaking and I was afraid to tell my story. I was afraid to tell people that I grew up in low-income housing, that I'm a university dropout, that I was headed down the wrong path. I was afraid. I was ashamed. And one day, somebody said something to me. They're like, Danny, I love how authentic you are about who you are. And I really think that you should tell your story. Tell the story of growing up in low-income housing and overcoming challenges, because even though a lot of people may not have grown up in that environment, a lot of people can relate to the emotions of not being accepted, of not being able to achieve what you want because of limiting beliefs. And I remember telling the story the first time I stood on a stage, of being 18 years old and making a decision that changed my life forever. And that decision was to separate myself from people that I was associating with who were headed down the wrong path. I decided in one moment that I was going to change my life by going away to university and getting an education. And I didn't know it at the time, but that changed the trajectory of my life forever. That was the catalyst for me wanting to help other people break through limiting beliefs. And that was a catalyst for me writing my book, You Have the Keys, Now Drive. And when I told that story for the first time, I was emotional. And I remember looking in the audience and I saw people tearing up. And even though a lot of the people in that audience, I'm sure, didn't grow up in low-income housing, that emotional connection was there through the story. And that led to me coming back to speak multiple times at that organization, selling books, and so many other things. Your story is powerful, but you have to be brave enough to tell it, and you have to get to the point where you fine-tune it enough so that it flows. You're not stumbling through it. You're not overly emotional and leaving the audience in the valley, in this pit, because you haven't worked through it enough. But tell your story. Don't ever be ashamed of your journey. Don't ever be ashamed of how far you've come, because so many people can relate to where you were. Not and showing them where you are gives them hope. And it makes them want to buy from you. It makes them want to connect with you. It makes them want to be evangelics for you, where they praise you and they buy everything that you sell and they join all of your groups and they post about you on social media. So tell your story, because stories sell. Number 3, when you speak, you attract high-ticket clients, high-paying, high-quality leads that want to give you a lot of money. Why? Because when you speak, you're speaking from the heart. They're seeing you. They're seeing the authenticity. They're seeing the genuineness. You're mapping out where they are and where they want to go in your talk. You're showing them a glimpse of what their future could look like. And so for a lot of people, they're willing to pay a lot of money for a solution to a big problem. Right? Think about it. If somebody is struggling in their business and they don't know how to maneuver social media, and that's costing them thousands and thousands of dollars because they're not really good with social media, and that's your expertise, they're willing to pay you a lot more money to help them or to do it for them. So speaking on a stage, really not just high-paying clients, you attract high-quality clients. Because in a lot of cases, when you're speaking, maybe you're speaking at an event and people paid to attend that event. And so you're already speaking to people who are used to buying, right? They paid to get into that event. A lot of people know that it's highly likely that somebody at that event is going to sell them something. And so they're prepared for that. And if you speak to their heart and you speak to the problem and you can articulate the problem better than they can, then you're likely to attract the right people. The problem with, running ads, or the problem with putting posts on social media, is many of us aren't speaking to targeted audience. So we're putting out all this effort and all of this money to people who are never going to buy from us, right? They're never going to buy for us. And the amazing thing about when you speak at an audience, somebody invited you to speak, if it's not your own audience. And so they've already vetted the audience. The leads are warm because the fact that you're on a stage speaking to the audience, it lets them know that you're an expert, that the people that brought you there believe in what you say and what you do, because they wouldn't have you speak on their platform, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a stage, etc. So the quality of those leads are already warmed up for you because the people or the person or the organization that brought you to speak is vouching for you by simply having you on stage. So that is the power of really standing on a stage. You get to attract high quality, high paying clients who want what you have, and you get to catch them in the moment when that energy is high. At the end of that speech, when you have that call to action, if I've spoken to you, if you're somebody who needs what I have, if you come to the back of the room or you click or you go to this website right now and buy my, group coaching program, or buy my inner circle, or whatever it is that you're selling, get that right now. So you're getting people when they're in the energy, when they're excited, when they're looking at you as the go-to expert, when they think that you can solve their problem, and that's in the moment. That is the best time to find high quality, high paying clients. If you're serious about growing your business, you know this. you know that public speaking is the fastest, most cost-effective way to build your brand and your business and attract your ideal clients. How do I know you know? I know you know because everybody that you follow who is a leader in your industry is a public speaker. Now, they may not be a great public speaker, but they stand on stages and they speak. So ask yourself, why would somebody who's an industry leader, who's already making millions, who's already the go-to expert in their field, why are they standing on stage? Because they understand that that is the fastest way to build their brand. They understand it's the way to go deeper with their clients. They understand that people buy high-ticket programs and courses and services after they speak on stage. And that's why you need to learn how to speak with clarity, confidence, and conviction. And if you need some help, I'll help you. All you got to do is grab this free guide. I put together a completely free guide for you, the biggest public speaking mistakes that are costing you 6 figures or more. Grab that right now, and you'll be surprised at some of the things that you may be doing that are holding you back. Go ahead and click that link in the comments or click the link in the description and grab that right now. I'll see you in the next video. I'm Coach Stone. I'm out.